All right. All right, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for one nation under God. Thank you, everybody. We'll call meeting to order with roll call here. Council Baumgartner here. Everyone is absent. Ferguson here. Paternos
Here.
and I'm here. We do have a quorum. Call meeting to order. Move on down to the public forum here. So this is the time when the public can address the council. When you do address the council, we ask that you state your name. For the record, speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes. But hopefully we can get you the appropriate resources after your 3 minutes is done. So if you wish to address the council, now is the time. Anybody online?
Nobody pre-registered.
Okay. Well, we'll close the public forum portion of the meeting here and move on to the setting of the agenda. Call for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Paternos to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Agenda carries as written. Move on down to the consent agenda, which includes the meeting minutes from February 26th, meeting minutes from March 4, Resolution 34, which is a gambling permit to the St. Mary's Church, Resolution 35, gambling permit to Acts, Resolution 36, a limited use trail agreement with MnDOT amendment, Resolution 38, a step movement for Sergeant Aaron Klaus, Resolution 39, the hiring of SMART rescue members Chris Gugamos, Brady Revere, Derek Tostenson, Ryan Tostenson, and Derek Wirtz. Call for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ferguson, seconded by Baumgartner to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Consent agenda carries as written. We'll move on down to discussion items. We have Widseth Mechanical here to inform us on some.
Yep, on the HVAC kind of discussion that we had. This is Mike Anglin, who is the architect for our project.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Mike Anglin from Widseth, and had the opportunity to be here today earlier in the afternoon and walk through the building and get ourselves oriented, looked at the existing building, and we're very excited to begin design and working with all of you. So thank you very much for that opportunity. As far as with the mechanical, so we have had an opportunity internally to review, when I say internally, it's our mechanical and electrical engineers, and we're a multidiscipline firm. And so what we did was we took a look at the 179D tax deduction, and we analyzed what would be available through this, compared that to your project. And so when we take a look at it, we are utilizing ASHRAE 90.1 2007. That's the version, that's the baseline that the tax deduction is based on. So that is a standard, that's a minimum standard that we would need to do and to design that against. So Minnesota just passed a new energy code, so the 2024 energy code. And so that also comes into play here. And so there are also a lot of new requirements with that for a project like this that we are about to design and get that ready for you for bidding and construction. There's a lot of new and improved regulations and metrics with it. So there's some really great advancements with that as it relates to how you need to build this building and really what that offers you in terms of the overall economic or environmental impact this project will have, and also the performance. So how this building needs to operate. So when we take a look at what the new 2024 Minnesota Energy Code requires, and then we also look at all the requirements with this tax deduction opportunity, the 179D, what we've identified, so there's interior lighting, HVAC and domestic water heating and building envelope. So there's three categories here that you could potentially capitalize on. And so once again, we would need to design a system that would be 25% better than the ASHRAE 90.1 2007. That would allow you to get about 54 cents a square foot. That would be a tax deduction. So, and then there's a maximum of basically around $1 a square foot for a tax deduction. Now that tax deduction would actually be for the design firm. That would be for Woodseth to realize that. And so so that there's up to $1 a square foot. So when you take a look at your proposed project, really it's excluding the garage spaces, because in order to design an HVAC system that exceeds this ASHRAE that I keep referencing, it's about 7,000 square feet. So if you think about that, that'd be about a $7,000 tax credit, tax deduction, I should say. When we take a look at potentially designing an HVAC system that would be that would qualify for this tax credit, so then we would be taking a look at we'd be doing an energy model. So we would go through that exercise, and then to design a system that would be more high efficient. Maybe it's a high efficient boiler and a VAV system with air handlers, or maybe it's a air to air air source heat pump. Knowing now that you have electricity, that might be the fuel source here. We would be looking at an additional design fee of about $20,000. And then in terms of overall construction costs, with a system that would be up to 50% in excess of what's required by that ASHRAE, those standards, you're looking to add approximately about $200,000 to the overall construction costs. So in order to really capitalize on this 179D tax deduction, there really needs to be an economy of scale, or there needs to be a certain size of a building. And like I said, with the garage spaces, where when we design those, we need to really exhaust air out. You know, that's the primary goal with having vehicles parked inside. And so after reviewing this, we're running some numbers, you know, and when we're just trying to quantify not only what the tax deduction would be, but then also what the potential costs would be. At this point, our recommendation would be to not pursue this, just based on the specifics of this project and the opportunity with this. Having said that, though, you know, again, with the Minnesota Energy Code 2024, what we would like to do just throughout our design is to provide you with some of those metrics, really, just to understand what you have to be doing by code anyway. And I just attended a seminar last week. It was about sustainability, and they talked about this in particular, but the tax deduction. But what they really talked about a lot is the energy code and just the improvements, and really how Minnesota is really maybe setting the bar, you know, in terms of regionally what's going on there. So by us recommending not to proceed with the 179D tax deduction, I just wanted you to know that we will be moving forward into designing a system that has to meet those standards, and which are quite impressive, I will say. And that's from the building owner side of things, you know, operationally moving forward, and again, how this building will operate, and in terms of its energy efficiency. So just wanted to give you that update, but certainly we could answer any questions or continue the conversation. Yeah.
You relate the 2024 Minnesota Energy Code improvements required under that to the ASHRAE 2007? Like, so you had to be 25% better than 2007 in order. So how does that fit together? Yeah,
it certainly can. And, you know, that is something that just came out, and we are going through. So there are some U values. There's solar heat gain for windows, for example, exterior glazing. So there's items that impact the overall exterior envelope, and there's items that affect from an HVAC standpoint, and lighting. So some of the things that lighting is basically having motion sensor on those, some daylight harvesting. As far as the new energy code exceeding ASHRAE 90.1 2007, we're not there, but I just, you know, from the standpoint of if you weren't to pursue this to be at least 25 or 50% better, I just wanted you to know that at least from a baseline standpoint, this new energy code is getting us above that. One other thing with the tax deduction is that if you try to pursue anything that would exceed that up to $1, it can go higher to that, but then it kicks in prevailing wage requirements, which would then add some additional cost onto that as well. Again, when you take a look at the size of the project, sometimes it just needs to be a little bit bigger of a project where there's it just provides a little bit more of an opportunity to pursue this tax deduction. So
The scale just isn't there for us to enjoy our ROI on this is basically what you're getting at.
I am, yes. Yeah, that in our opinion.
The firm would get that credit.
Right. And it would, from a tax deduction standpoint, it's just, that's less our income and it just lowers our tax liabilities.
Sure.
It
Um,
did proceed that, you would pass that back, right?
I actually spoke to our CFO, and that's something that we cannot do from an ethics side of things. And so that was the conversation that I had with our CFO. So I asked that question specifically. Yeah, I did. And because when you read about it and it talks about public buildings and so forth. And so I definitely needed to ask that question too. And so that's from our standpoint anyway. And speaking with CFO, we wouldn't be able to pass along any of that. And then again, it wouldn't be that direct dollar amount. That's just lowering what our tax liability would be. So it's interesting though. It's a very good question. I asked the same thing, and
I'm
it,
surprised because
yeah.
why promote public buildings for that?
exactly. And again, when you really dive into it and you take a look at the systems, the size of the spaces and how it could potentially score. And then if you go above and beyond that to that up to $5, it again kicks in prevailing wage as well. So then you just take a look at what do you want to do in terms of investing money into the project and how will it perform? And so again, that's something that I'll offer up is just to allow you all to provide you with information to say, based on how we're going to design this with the new energy code, here's how it will perform. So I still think that it'll be a quality system, energy efficient. And I think it'll just be a nice follow-up, just to provide you with some of that information. So, yeah. Yeah, you bet. No, thank you.
Tax benefit does give you incentive to push everybody doing that. So there is probably a benefit there. My question for you is the 2024 energy code.
Yeah.
We will be up to par on that. It's not gonna be
Yeah.
pushed off forward to somebody else. Like that will be, we will meet that.
Yeah, that's correct. And so for us completing the design, I should say, putting together the construction documents and the bid documents, we are now into 2024 in terms of that coding being adopted and implemented. So when we put all this together and submit it for plan review, it will be reviewed with the 2024 energy code in mind. Yeah.
Any other questions for Mike? I think we need to offer a little bit of direction on here. So we should probably have a motion to for WIDSEF to move forward and not pursue the 179D tax deduction plan.
Second.
Motion's been made by Paternoss, seconded by Baumgartner to move forward to direct WIDSEF Mechanical to move forward and not pursue the 179D tax deduction. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay.
Anything else for us?
No, just again to say thank you and really look forward to working with you and look forward to providing you with some updates on the project as we move
We
forward.
appreciate your expertise on this. We're trying to do everything we can, trying to flip over every stone we can to find some
Absolutely.
ways to save our neighbors some
Yep.
money here and ourselves. So
Absolutely.
we'll
Yeah.
have to find another stone to turn.
That's right. Yeah. And we'll look for opportunities too. So.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Aaron, you ready for the hot seat? Aaron, if you could introduce yourself and state your name so we can get it on the record.
Aaron Jurgensen. I'm looking for approval for my Eagle project, Scouts. I got a $2,000 check for the city of Olivia from the existing project. My plan is to add more pavers to the veteran memorial. That's currently existing, and a pathway for more veterans to be recognized.
Thank you, Aaron. You're gonna be going out to the public and selling some pavers again?
Yes, they'll be $250 a piece,
How many pavers do you need to sell?
as many as I need to.
It's a good number, yeah. Do you have a timeline that you're hoping to construct this thing with?
It'll be finished in December of 2025.
Okay. Coming up fast. That's very good. Just so for the council, to know, Aaron presented this project to Craig. It was last summer, is that right?
Yep.
And he and his team are on board with it, so everything is looking good. They're gonna have to take down an ash tree, which is gonna have to.
Sorry.
But the way things are going with ash trees in this town, that tree would be meeting its demise anyway. But the land is ready for Aaron to make this wonderful addition to the Veterans Memorial that we have at Kubesh Park, and really want to thank you, especially, and the Scouts and your folks for contributing back to the community in such a great way, Aaron. We really appreciate that. We're really proud of you guys, and we're proud of you too, Aaron. And we wish you the best of luck. I think you're gonna do great with the paver sales. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Aaron?
That's an impressive project. I really do appreciate you helping the community and doing something like this. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see.
Yeah, a lot of leadership coming out of the Scouts, and it's totally appreciated. So we're gonna do the nuts and bolts and formal part of this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call for a motion to graciously accept the $2,000 donation to the Parks Board, kind of earmarked for this Veterans Memorial at Kubesh Park. And also within that motion, I would like to ask for approval of the addition to the Veterans Memorial.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner and seconded by Patterness to move forward with the addition of the Vets Memorial and accept the $2,000 donation to the Parks Department. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much, Aaron. We really appreciate it. I'd like to shake your hand. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll hold this up to the camera. Maybe the people at home will be able to see the.
Jasmine's working on it. Jasmine's working
You're
on
not
it, maybe.
moving fast enough to get it. to come over there.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe somebody over there has to talk.
That's on the camera. Yeah,
Lot going on here.
there you go. There you go.
Very exciting.
There we are. Look at that forehead. That's a 5 head. So the addition is gonna be this part right here, right, Aaron?
Yep.
For those at home. Wonderful. You know, we have a lot of YouTube subscribers, so it's important that we show them what's going on. 7. Well, there's 7 favors you just sold. I know. Okay, Thank you again to the Scouts and the Jurgensens. Yeah, all right. And our next discussion item here is garbage service request for proposal.
So this is just a staff notification that our current contract is expires in July of this year. We have been approached by other service providers who are interested if we are willing to put out a request for proposal. It seems to be that that's kind of how we have been operating as a council for the past 6 months, is when we have the ability to do a request for proposal to make sure that we and the residents are getting the best deal, we do so. So just looking for guidance if you would like us to continue this with creating an RFP for you all to review and approve in the upcoming month, or if you're happy sticking with the same provider.
Is it for the entire city then? Okay,
Yep. So
I think it's,
good with us doing.
I always believe we have to always look and just make sure that we're getting reasonable
deal.
value.
One of the priorities that we will be looking at is trying to find a garbage service that offers some smaller trucks. Really large garbage trucks are really hard on our streets. And seeing, all the money that went into Depew, also being a resident on that street, really making sure that we as the city are protecting our infrastructure investments.
Someone got a tax statement this week.
I did. That's why focusing on maintaining the city's infrastructure to the best of our ability, we want to make sure that whatever provider we're going with, that we see the option for smaller trucks, so we might not have to spend as much money on the road wear and tear.
I don't want any of our service providers to feel slighted or anything by our decisions to move forward with RFPs like this. So, we as a council have been really trying to make decisions that reflect on repeatable policy, where we can just build a lot of integrity into our systems, and this is just another tip of the cap to that movement. So is everybody on board with all right, I'll call for a motion to direct staff to move forward with the garage service RFP, garbage service RFP.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Patterness, to move forward with the garbage service RFP. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have item D, the first reading of ordinance 2024-02, the fine and fee schedule. Call for a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance.
So move.
Do we have to make motions on first readings?
No.
Okay. All right. We also have the first reading on ordinance 2024-03, amending chapter 50 and 52 of the Olivia City Code regarding utility charges and franchise requirements. And also moving up here, we have a discussion item on 5F, a police department vehicle quote.
Sergeant Klaus, if you would like to come up and speak about the vehicle quote. Don't move the microphone away. Okay, that's true. You do have a lot.
So forgive me for having the phone out here. Our printer decided not to work on the way out the door here trying to print these things. So bear with me a second while I bring the documents up on here.
We do have a copy.
So, oh, that would be perfect.
It just has to stay in the room. So no running.
I won't take it away. I have to.
Then on the back of that.
I think this was the oldest one yet, but I have the updated one. I'll give the current number. There was one they had at administration fee. They added a $200. So we'll cover that here in a second. Just so everybody's aware that I think there was one newer one that came out. All right, so we were actually due for a new squad car last year. A bigger battle was staffing rather than a vehicle. No point in having a new vehicle if we don't have somebody to drive it. So we took care of that. Now we're doing this. currently find ourselves in a bit of a dilemma as we only have 2 working vehicles out of our 4. Our newest one is up in Atwater with significant problems yet again. It's warranty problems. It has been a pain since the day we got it. What I have noticed in my personal and professional vehicle experience over the past 4 years or so is that the Ford Explorer has declined quality a lot. Getting them fixed is difficult. Getting parts is difficult. Diagnosis is difficult. It has not gone well. A guy that's been a Ford driver for most of my life, it hasn't been good seeing that. So we explored other options as it's no longer prudent for me to come before you and recommend a vehicle that I can't support as a quality vehicle that's going to benefit our city for years to come. That being said, I've explored Dodge and done a lot of research into that as a suitable replacement for the Explorer. I looked at the state bid pricing, and then also, as we happen to have a dealership in town, I went out to them, wanted to give them a fair shake at it as well, even though they didn't put in for the state bid. That doesn't mean they can't match or beat that price. That's their choice. I went out and spoke with Michelle Jensen there, who was able to provide quote. So the state bid quote was $40,921 without any fees, taxes, anything like that. That was just the base price. Went out and spoke with Michelle Jensen. Let me confirm that number. Like I said, I think this number here is just a little off. The most recent number she provided is $200 higher than what you have, because that included a $200 document administration fee. So their price was $41,021, $41,021.00. The quotes are identical as far as what's in the vehicle. It is an apples to apples comparison as far as what we're getting there. Having the dealership in town, I think, is going to be great for us as far as warranty work and things like that. We're not going to be running down to Redwood and or Atwater or wherever we have to go to get that vehicle worked on. It's going to save us a lot of time and fuel, staff costs, running these vehicles back and forth as we need to. I think it's a very good option going forward. So based on the numbers we have, even though with the document administration fee does put Olivia slightly higher than Burnsville by, I believe, $100, if I remember right. Again, those fees are not factored into this quote. This is kind of a build your own Excel document. You just put your numbers in. So that doesn't have those things factored in that. So that being said, my recommendation is to go forward with the Dodge Durango from Olivia Chrysler and get that so I can purchase it. Delivery time from what they say is anywhere from 8 weeks, and I've heard all the way up to 9 months. So your guess is as good as mine as far as when it might show up. But in that meantime, I'd be ordering all the equipment, things like that, to get in the vehicle as soon as it arrives. At this point, we don't intend to sell any. What we've been doing is keeping them because we found the value of having that vehicle, even as an extra, is greater than what you get in resale. Resale, you're talking $10,000 to $15,000 if you're lucky. But us being able to keep that as long as it's a good working patrol vehicle, the values outweighs that significantly. Ultimately, what my long-term goal was is we're not coming asking for any more money from you guys on a different basis. It's just kind of the same CIP, but we keep those vehicles longer to allow us, when we have these times where we are down 2 vehicles, we're not left with 1. Years ago, we only had 3. We'd be in a real pickle right now with 1. So at least having extras is good, because these things can break down and get totaled any day. It could happen. Fortunately, the totaling part hasn't happened, and I hope that maintains. But as we see they're breaking down and getting them fixed is tough. It's about 3 weeks to get an appointment, much less whatever the repair time is going to be. And that they don't bump us up ahead of anybody else necessarily, which sucks, but that's the world we're in. So, so we don't intend to sell anything at this time. We're just looking at getting this one. And after we make a decision here, I do have an update on a grant we put in, which I don't believe Elizabeth even knows anything about this yet. So maybe she does. But yeah, so any other questions, I guess?
The Olivia Chrysler quote was $100 more than the other.
With the document administration fees factored in, and again, Dodge of Burnsville didn't have those factored in yet. I'm assuming
Oh,
there's
so that
some
would be
fees there as well. They're only $100 higher. There's obviously vehicle tax, stuff like that, or the registration fees. You're gonna get that regardless of dealership. It's the standard, whatever it is. So that's my recommendation on it.
Well, I like the idea of buying locally when we can. And $200, $100, whatever it is, that's just a couple of trips to Redwood before you've saved that much. So
And if it is purchased in Burnsville, we would have to go down and pick that up as well. So I mean, you can look at tank of fuel and do your math and staff costs, and
Two
that's
people.
so.
I'm fine with buying it at Olivia Chrysler.
Yeah, I'd say Olivia Chrysler.
Great.
Call for a motion to approve the purchase of a Dodge Durango from Olivia Chrysler for the police department.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made by Ferguson, seconded by Patterness to approve the purchase of a Dodge Durango bought from Olivia Chrysler for the police department. Any further discussion?
You may have to explain to me the rationale behind keeping two non-working cruisers though, at some point.
Oh, no. There's two that aren't working currently, but they're being fixed. One of them is our newest squad car.
Right, but if you have four and you're adding another one, do we normally have a fleet of 5 vehicles?
That's what the goal is to have 5 and no more. That gives us, as they break down, extras to use, and then each officer would have their own vehicle.
Has that been our practice historically?
Historically, it's only 3, and that's gotten us into jams in the past where we don't have enough vehicles. Or we only have one vehicle and there's 2 to 3 people working, which is a significant problem, especially if that time would happen over corn days. We'd really be in a real tough scenario. So this is something that I put a lot of thought into. Ultimately, even though we're keeping them longer, you're not changing the oil any more often. You're not changing tires any more often because the miles are spread out between the cars. You're keeping them longer, but those miles get spread out. So you're not necessarily racking up any additional maintenance cost to it. You're just not gaining that resale value, whatever it might be, upon sale day one.
Okay. I don't know that I fully buy that, but okay, I understand the rationale at least.
All right, any other discussion?
I think it's good that you have extra cars.
All right, any other discussion? Matt, what do you think about extra cars?
Well, I was gonna ask if there was a limit to how many you're gonna keep. It's like 5 is the limit.
5 is all I'm aiming for. I have no intention at this point to go beyond that. I don't see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to just give us more money, we could talk. but,
Makes sense.
No, I don't see any rational justification to go beyond 5. I don't. I think that should suffice if these scenarios come up, as whether they're totaled or just broken down. We still have those vehicles to keep functioning and doing what we need to do.
It probably does cost a little bit every month just to have an extra vehicle around. I'm sure.
There's insurance costs, that there's probably something there.
It'd be good to know what that is, just so we know what we're committing to.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
the reason I would want.
I can chat with Sean and find some numbers and look into that. Absolutely.
I mean, that's obviously a decision for months down the road from now. It's not a today decision. So
Right.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Peggy, sorry, did you say you have some free money coming our way? I mean, some state or federal money, I guess?
Unfortunately, we did put in for a grant. The grant was for a 80%, I believe, of the new equipment cost for a pickup for a squad car. Primarily meant to be used for traffic enforcement, high profile vehicle, for hands-free violation, seatbelt, things like that. This is a big state thing they put out. We put in for it. However, we did get an email today saying we did not get that grant, which was a bummer, but we tried. We'll keep trying. It was a big money grant, so it's a disappointment, but trying to save budget somewhere. So
We appreciate
that one didn't work out. But so just so you're all aware, I don't know how many of you were aware that we put in for it or not, but unfortunately we did not get that one. So, oh, absolutely. We're not going to give up. So, all right. That's all I had. Anything else, guys?
Thank you, Sergeant
Excellent.
Wells.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we'll move down to committee reports here. Are there any reports from staff at this time?
I'll provide you with kind of 3 different reports, 3 different buckets. I've been graciously added as the city's representative for the Bold Referendum school design meetings, which is nice to get to stay in the loop, to be a good partner to the school. We were invited in the capacity that, we are an equal partner when it comes to the pool. So as they're taking into consideration design and costs for the pool and the area of the school that houses the pool, we should get to have a say at that table too. So we do get to do that. Wednesday, I will be down in the Twin Cities for the for the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities Advocacy Day on the Hill. So I went to the League of Minnesota Cities last week, and this week is a different advocacy organization, this time focused on non-metro cities. So it's really focused on smaller cities that are outside of the metro area. And I have an appointment with Senator Lang, so that'll be nice. And then the final report is not as much of a fun one, but I wanted to give you all an update. We are still waiting to receive the final copy of the comprehensive plan from Antonio. The hope is that we will have it for the Planning Commission to review and approve in their April meeting so that it can be brought for your all consideration and hopeful adoption for your April meeting. So apologize for the delay. It is at this point out of my hands, unfortunately. So that's the update I can give you all.
Have an update for PUC that I just think we need to have on our minds a little bit about the RO system. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but what I remembered hearing from them is that the USDA was gonna grant us something like 80% of the cost of the RO system, leaving us with about $1 million price tag that we're gonna have to cover on our own. And then in the latest PUC meeting, we got notification that that's not looking like it's going to happen and that we will be on the hook for more like $2.6 million. To which I was not happy to learn. And so I'm not entirely sure the status of that. I don't think anybody's saying we have to install it now, but that changes the calculus a lot to go from $1 million to 2.6. And I think we need to push back on that. And it's more than I think we can really bear for that kind of project. I don't think it's the state of Minnesota. They say jump, we say how high. But boy, it does not feel fair, and it feels like a bait and switch. And so I think you're going to talk with Senator Lang about it perhaps soon.
Yep, it's going to be talking about a state bonding request and realizing, again, this was the scope of the project that I was presented in October by our engineers, not understanding what presentations had already been presented to the council or to PUC. So the engineer, Richard Parr with SEH, is going to come back to the April PUC meeting to discuss this project and the scope of this project. PFA their next grant cycle will be opening in June, and we will be working with them to put together hopefully a competitive grant application for this type of project. But at this moment, we don't have any grants for this project that have been approved. So
Blanc and Landon, correct us if we're wrong. I mean, we talked about this at the PUC meeting, but I believe that was a USDA, a federal grant, an 80-20 match.
Yeah.
What I recall.
Are we? Okay.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, but
I know there is some grant dollars in there because that was kind of what sold us on going that way instead of maybe trying to figure out a
Divert the
different
water.
way. Either diverting the water or working with our own local businesses on fixing it. So disappointing to hear no matter what.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, it does change the calculus.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting more guidance on that one. So again, Richard's going to come and do a presentation to the PUC in April to answer some of those questions and provide some additional guidance. If after PUC, council would find it very helpful to have the same presentation, feel free to
Yes,
let me know.
please.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll just, yeah.
So we can all make sure that every entity is on the same page for this request. My apologies, again, I didn't know previous numbers had been discussed. So I'll do a better job of trying to research a little bit farther back as opposed to just taking the middle and keep going. So.
I feel like that number should be plugged into our financial planning from,
Yeah, because I think we talked about it having
yes,
to do with the reserves of our utility fund.
that was definitely
It's part of
a
it.
talking point in there.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Any other,
I've got a question on that one. With them jumping that.
sorry,
number,
Howie, we can talk after the meeting.
Well, This is in regards to that water. If they're jumping that on us, $1.6 million, is there some way that they're gonna reimburse for the additional? We talked about this with the engineer, how aggressive that water is gonna be on the current system. So now you're gonna add $1.6 million to our bill, and then when that aggressive water starts eating the water lines from the houses to the street.
Howie, we'll have a conversation after the meeting, okay? Thank you. All right, any other reports from council? The PUC met last week to approve a footprint on a couple parking lot accesses.
Planning.
Planning, that's right. The planning committee met last week to approve the footprint on a couple parking lot accesses for the new school. There's gonna be a passenger vehicle drop-off access connected to the current school bus roundabout.
Drop off.
Sure. And then there's gonna be a second entry access driveway, I guess, on the big parking lot area there. That was,
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
it's supposed to be safer that way, I guess. Any other reports from council?
Tracy sent the full report over. I'll give the high level overview of it, we'll call it. They've been having some open swims which sound pretty successful so far. She's trying to get together a lifeguard training class. She didn't quite have as many people sign up for it as she had hoped, so I think they're canceling this one and moving it to a later date so they can hopefully get more lifeguards. And I mean, how long or the hours of the pool kind of depend on them getting some more lifeguards and stuff like that. They're starting to have private lessons. They're starting to have some school classes, establish your dates and get ready to go for school utilizing the pool. They have a few more rentals and stuff. So, all's moving ahead forward. Probably the best we can possibly hope for at this point.
Good.
Go be lifeguards, kids.
Or adults.
Or adults.
You don't have to be a student to be a lifeguard. Anybody can.
Any other reports? Any other notices or communications? Call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Baumgartner, seconded by Patternus to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.